But I definitely felt like I had to do this video today. The date is Monday, April the 12th, 2021. And what I wanted to do today was just talk about what I've been going through kind of, and how I was doing mentally and where I was at, some of the struggles I've had and some of the good things that have happened. Yonathan is here. He's the co-founder, Black Eyes for Change.
You already know.
It's my dog.
My dogs.
But it's unfortunate because last night on Sunday, there was another killing of an unarmed Black man. Barely a man. He was only 20 years old. Mm-hmm. I don't know. When I found out, I
already know. You messaged me and it was like, man, this is a lot. I remember you literally were just like, man, this is just like, what do we do next? What else can we say that we haven't said already?
I felt very defeated, to be honest. After I spoke to you, I hung up and I was sitting there and I like felt tears coming to my eyes. Mm-hmm. I'm very good at like compartmentalizing things and like I can feel that emotion and I push it back. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I just felt like a profound sadness. Mm-hmm. It's tiring. Like I was giving you an example where I was in high school and I had a principal following me out of the cafeteria. It was a whole bunch of stuff. And I remember calling my dad because he was a teacher. And I thought, let me call my dad because I'm not going to handle the situation right. And I need him to tell me what I should do. Because when it comes down to it, if whatever happens, he's going to come defend it if I did it the way he wanted me to. Mm-hmm. And I also felt like I might be disrespectful because I was tired of the way I was being treated. Mm-hmm. So I called him and spoke to him and he told me, listen, don't be disrespectful to your principal. Mm-hmm. If she's telling you to do something, just do it. Which is a thought process of a lot of our parents and mm-hmm. things like that, right? Mm-hmm. No matter what the situation is, even if it's wrong, it's just do what the people in authority are telling you to do. So
especially parents of like immigrants.
Right. Like, you brought it up as well. I think mm-hmm. we were talking about that and like their fear of almost like they're lucky to be in this country, so don't fuck it up, for lack of a better word.
Ride like, just ride under the radar, fly under the radar and just, just do what they want you to do. Good school, family, like they want everything. It's almost like as they imagine before coming. Like that dream. That
dream of what North America is gonna be like.
Yeah, and they don't tell you all like the things to be scared of, like how to talk with police if you're, I'm thinking about African people.
Yes, yeah.
Here. So it's like, they don't realize you gotta be careful whenever you walk at night. They might tell you like, make sure, Afia, who you walking with, make sure you're with a friend, make sure, you call us, text us, all those things. But at the same time, it's like, what can our parents coming from Africa tell us to
warn us or prepare us for
to encounter with police brutality? And even if it's not police brutality, it can be harassment, it can be, discrimination, different things. Like they get discriminated as soon as they land here.
Right.
But they don't tell us how to deal with it. It's just like, brush it off your shoulder. Because they come from, to them, this is something better than whether it happens.
Right. So just like keep quiet, just do what they say, like it's fine,
Because that's their method. Because to them, they can do those things. Because like, we're here for a bigger purpose, for our family. So, but to us, it's like you gave us this life to live.
So allow us to live it as citizens here. We're born here. So I think, at least for me especially, I was born in Canada. There's nothing you can do. You can't deport me. I'm not going nowhere. You feel me? There's nowhere for you.
Energy.
I'm here. I'm from here, So that kind of fuels a lot of like the resistance in me. But it's so heart aching and I don't know how to explain it because I'm a mom too, right? And it's like,
and you have a son.
I have a son. And like once he was on the phone with his mom, talking to his mom, they're pulling me over, mom, like I need my papers, mom, do you know?
Right, yeah.
Can you explain, can you imagine, like being on the phone with your child and you can't help them, right? The helplessness behind it all, and like
even as a mother, like no disrespect to like fathers, but
carrying their child,
like, and then that relationship between like like being a son and a mother, you already know like that kind of
the bond
synergy
is just
and bond. So to be on the phone with like
your son,
George Floyd's crying out for his mom. This boy was young man.
He's a young man, he's a boy.
He's on the
20.
Right before he gets shot, like that's crazy.
And she calls back, and the girlfriend says, "Oh, he's dead." I don't. I mean, details are developing. It was a white female cop that ended up killing him. She stated that she mistook her gun, which would be on whatever dominant side. Either she's right-handed or left-handed, that's where her gun would be. She mistook it for her taser, which would be on the other side.
Which both have their safeties on for one, and the taser weighs a few ounces while the gun weighs like 2.5 pounds.
8 ounces and one's 3 ounces or something like that. Right?
One is like 2.5 pounds, which is the gun, and then you have the taser, which is like 8 ounces or a few, whatever the ounces. No matter what, you can
tell the difference. The weight, like,
especially a veteran, because they're not going to release her.
No. I've seen her picture now, ladies and gentlemen. She's a 25-year veteran. Oh. The police union president. Wow. She's been in the police on the police force longer than he was alive.
And it was an accidental discharge.
And she's a president of the union, the police union. She's not facing no jail time for sure. I mean,
well, we don't know.
I mean,
I'm sorry,
we've seen this story before. I mean,
well, I feel like I don't know. I just feel
what?
Like
they're on TV talking about it's an accidental.
No, I already know, but they released a body camera footage, which is something that they never do. You know, any police department within 24 hours of situations like that happening.
Yeah.
You know, even within weeks, you know, usually it's like you get like an inside source or a leak or maybe through the courts.
But they released it. They put it out there still.
The police chief put it out there. It was just like, I want to be transparent with the community. So now it's like, well, the way that this climate is in 2021, and of course packing off of 2020, it's just like, I kind of feel there's a culture shift continuously still happening, because it's like they're making steps. But
like that wouldn't have happened before,
exactly.
But so that's a step in the right direction. But what comes of it?
That's what I'm trying to say now. Like, it's a step in the right direction, but what they're doing is they're trying to move forward without really being accountable for what's behind, right? So what this just exposed was, yo, there's problems within the police department that goes deep.
Yeah.
To where a 25-year veteran
is able to say she mistook.
Yeah, which is like what happened in Fruitvale Station.
Yeah, I watched that.
I thought it was like they thought it was a gun, but I mean, they thought it was a taser, fired a gun, and this is exactly why a lot of departments said, "All right, put the taser on the opposite side, like your left dominant side, gun on the right." That's because of what happened. So now, what are they gonna do about this? That's what I'm saying. The culture shift. They're gonna have to do something big because something like this happened.
Will she be an example?
Well, to like, just not to change the narrative too much, but they're saying that this situation and seeing the protest that happened, which is only 10 miles away from the courthouse of
where
trial.
They're holding trial currently for the murder of an unarmed black man last year.
But what they're saying is, because the jury saw what happened with the protest, and they're saying that might influence. That might influence. Yeah, it's funny because it might
mistrial.
No, they're going to say it's going to work in our benefit because they're saying the juries might be scared that if you do not convict Derek Chauvin,
it will be no for sure, dead ass.
So what the defense tried to do was kind of I forgot what the term is, but they're trying to like pretty much isolate the jury from the public. So they want to keep them like away. Sequester. Yeah. So then, what did the judge say? Whole different case. He's not sequestering the jury, so the jury's going to get to see whatever's happening. And maybe that might influence, for them to finally do what's been on the table. It's been on the table to finally be on the right side of justice. And many times there's always one juror, there's always a couple that the defense might get to that might not really truly understand. And
that's my concern, because in order to get a not guilty verdict, you just need one person who questions it a little bit. It doesn't even have to make logical sense.
Guilty or not guilty, but yeah, whichever one, you need to like just like what you're saying. You need to just
find one person who's like, oh well, I guess that right. It didn't make sense. They didn't explain it all the way, right?
Or like, oh yeah, he took too many drugs, or maybe it's just harder. But it's.
They had an expert on today, and he said straight out, like, no, he wouldn't have died if not for him. Like he would not die if not for him. And the defense attorney comes on and says, well, what did you say? He's like, no, I wouldn't say that. He wouldn't have died if it wasn't for him, So, like, I'm appreciating the fact that people are coming on and able to stand strong and what they know to be right.
I don't know, because if you think about it.
What?
So, like, I saw this tweet where it was saying, 2021, we need to have a trial for 3-4 weeks to see a murder that the whole entire world saw.
The thing is, people will say it's a justice system. You can't just convict people. You're innocent until proven guilty, but only white people get that privilege. Due process. So, taxpayer money is being wasted, but it's, you know, and the thing is, he can also appeal, so this could be going on for years as well. So let's, you know, be real about that. But with this Dante man, a father of a child, a brother, a son, it's just, it's hard. It's a human being, period. It's just so, like, hurtful, man. It's hurtful.
Because people want to say, like, I understand people want to say after they saw the body camera footage that he shouldn't have run, right? But it's like, man, out of everything that you've seen as a black, put yourself, if you're not a black African-American, like if you're not African-American, or even just black Canadian, like African-Canadian, imagine seeing on the news other people who look like you are being gunned down, killed for petty crimes, like a $20 counterfeit bill, and you're sitting there about to get handcuffed by the same type of, like, same environment.
It's a psychological thing, and it's a lose-lose situation. Like,
so you're panicking, and he's a young man, and I get it. We know you're not supposed to, you know,
run or resist or whatever,
arrest, right?
But when you don't resist, they kill you. You resist, they kill you. You walk the straight line, they find a reason to find cause to call you out, to stop you, to harass you. And that's the thing that I want people to really understand, that to you it may seem as if he ran away and he shouldn't have done that, but you don't understand the psychological traumas as to why somebody who knows this now, he would have known this. It happened in his city, right? He would have known that this is what happens with the police. Why he still felt safer to try and run away than to just do what they said. That's a bar. You really got to think about that. And it's so alarming that people are still sitting there like, oh, just don't resist and don't. That works if you're white. It doesn't work for people who look like us. And it's so... All the time.
And you don't want to risk it. Like, you want to tell your child, like, risk it. How?
I was doing anti-Black racism training this weekend, and we were talking to some, like, the older generation, so like our parents' generation and stuff, and some of the things they said were like, yeah, we just tell our kids, don't walk with your pants hanging below your bum, don't have a hoodie on, don't have Skittles in Arizona, don't be disrespectful when the police are trying to talk to you, don't do everything the police tell you to do so you can make it home. And for them, that's it. It's just to make it home, right? That's not quality of life.
It's not.
And so we have to resist, and it sucks because, yes, people will become martyrs of this cause, of this fight. People will die. People will have to die. But that's historically how it goes, and it's unfortunate. But at this point in time, I don't know what else it's going to take. I'm telling you, like, Yonathan, honestly, as much work as we're doing the community and stuff, today was hard. Today was one of those days where I'm like, why are we doing this? What's the purpose of this?
Especially when you're just seeing it constantly in the news, especially with the Virginia Army vet.
That happened last week.
And they fired the officer, but it's like, man, the root of the problem.
He's wearing his army uniform. It's not like he's just saying I'm in the army. Like, the man is decked out in his uniform.
And they pulled him over for not having a license plate, but his license plate was on his window because he just bought the car apparently, and it was there. It's just the officer was more, you know. They were saying it took him a minute and 30 seconds to pull over, but he was saying, like, I did that so I can be in a well-lit area because it was, like, on dark roads.
And you guys don't understand that. For a lot of people, you guys don't understand that. My mom has told me that as well.
Yeah.
I know that. That happened to me when a police officer asked me why I didn't stop. I'm not stopping in the dark.
What would happen if it was in the dark and this video couldn't capture all that stuff?
I'm not stopping in the dark. That might cost me my life or somebody else who feels like that. But I'm not stopping in the dark.
Think about it. Even then, like... Have the conversation. He's a human being. That's what I think is the disconnect.
It's disrespectful.
Yeah.
It's disrespectful. Like, you didn't see him as a human being. And even him showing you that he's somebody who's decided to go and fight for the country.
He was
for your freedom.
Yeah, he's currently, like, still fighting.
And you don't see him as anything other than a Black person who's below you. So it doesn't matter if you are a lieutenant in the army.
Because even then, like, I get all these people who want to, like, say, what about this and what about that? All right, take race out of it, right? As a human being, he's there. Why do you feel the need to bark? Well, let's dive deep into it before you take race out of it. Dive deep. What is the point of you barking orders for a traffic stop that could easily just be communicated? Like, hey, do you have...
It's a lack of respect.
Where's your license plate?
It's a lack of respect.
You don't see it. Lack of respect. What is a lack of connection to this? This is a human being. Like, this dives deep into mental health in terms of how do they screen officers and the people, like, how do you equip these people with guns?
Any Tom, Dick, and Harry can be a police officer.
Because they're pretty much trying to say, you running away from an expired tag or whatever violation of your rearview mirror, like an air freshener violation, pretty much running away from that doesn't give them the license to kill.
And that's the biggest thing, right? So now, even with George Floyd, counterfeit bill, let's say he's even guilty of that. Does that result in his death? Is the punishment death?
$20.
Is the punishment death? Okay.
And then even think about the money. How much? Remember we were talking about the expired tags and how much? Like he had a warrant out for his arrest.
Okay. Yeah. So let's so basically, so Dante had been charged when he was 19 years old. Okay. So 2000, he might have been 18. 2019, October 2019. He was ticketed for smoking weed. Smoking a joint. He was ticketed. The state says they're decriminalizing marijuana, but he was ticketed. The reports are saying that he had, what was it, $75 for a fine, and then $81 or $85.
81 for court fees.
81 for court fees, okay? But then they're also saying that if you look it up, they sent the notice to appear for court to the wrong address. So he missed it as well. And so a warrant was put out for his arrest. It was for a joint. Ladies and gentlemen, we've legalized weed in Canada. But a joint. It wasn't bags of marijuana, even a joint.
People are going to say it's so legal. Regardless, we know, let's be real. If it's not a black man smoking a joint,
the cop is going to tell the kid to put it out and go home, if he even stops them to say anything.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like, listen, if you want to argue or debate this, all right, say it's not every black man. Black men still have the higher percentage, no matter what, of that happening. So I can be like, oh, well, I'm a black person. I never really got in trouble with the police, or I did this, and nothing ever happened to me. It's not about that. It's about
God. At work today, somebody said that shit to me. This lady, we were talking, I don't think she's racist, but like, we were talking about it, and she's almost like, you got to be careful of those things because, like, look, some people make it. So you can't say that it's this because some black people make it through the cracks. And I'm literally like, listen to what you're saying. So because there's like 2 black people who made it to the top, or might be a CEO of a company, it doesn't mean that the whole system is racist.
I know, that's what doesn't make sense. Oh, there's black police. Like, it's not even, it's the system. Like, take race out of it. It's the system.
It's difficult because, like, it's my workplace, and, like, I want to have these conversations. I'm happy that we're having the conversations, but I can just see, like, I'm going to get upset with this lady. Like, she's defending it. Like, she gets it kind of, but like, but then there's this. Oh, yeah, okay, no, but there's this. So it's always like, there's a reason why black people deserve what's happening to them, or why it's not as bad as we think it may be. And, like, I'm just drained. And mentally, like, I've been going through some things. I've had a couple of, like, breakdowns and stuff. But today I could just feel it on my chest. I had anxiety today. I had anxiety. It's tiring. As black women, we stand in the fight with black men in solidarity. And it's our children being taken away. We carry these children just for society to say they're not worth anything, right? And that's so hurtful. I don't know, Yonathan, like...
No, it's painful.
Yeah.
Because it's literally them putting a value on our lives.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Like, just be a human being and just see, like, the inequities. You see what's being done wrong to people of color. Yeah. Because we can go deeper into that.
Yeah.
It's like the system wasn't made for us, but we are now here. And we now have the power and, like you said, entitlement, because we're born here to make this country better. It's not about what can I get, what can black people get. We're making this a better place for everyone.
So part of the training that we did, anti-black racism training that we did, that's something that we talked about. People think that when we're asking for equality, we're asking to take their table away from them. What it is we're asking for a seat at the table, which to me is problematic in its own self, because, like, the fact that we're begging other people to think that we matter is a problem for me. But that is literally what we're doing. And even that threatens your whole being. Even that you can't let happen, because you feel like when there's equality, we're taking from you. That's a mental issue. That's the privilege. That's entitlement. That's the caucasity. White supremacy. That's all of that, right? And so that's why, for me especially, I push the whole thought of like Black autonomy and having our own businesses, having our own places, where we don't need anybody else to really, like, it doesn't matter how they feel about us because we can survive on our own. We do for our own. That's what I think needs to happen. I think we need to stop begging to sit at the table and create our own tables, to be honest. And all we can do is come together as one, which I feel like is a big problem in our community. That's something that we have to solve. And I think we have to solve that first, because there will still be some Black people who stand up and agree with people who are not Black and say he shouldn't have run away. They can't see it.
Yeah,
because
I think the same, like
right.
you were saying before.
So it's a difficult thing. It's so complex. Yeah, I just wanted to do this video as a check-in. I think I'm gonna do a weekly thing, like just the things I'm going through mentally, and like it's hard, man. I have 3 kids. Their schools are shut down this week for break. Every day I get a letter from their schools about COVID. Somebody in the building had COVID. We were on isolation 2 weeks ago. Somebody in Jazzy's class, or the class that she's cohorted with, had it. Jerry's school as well. I get daily emails. So there's so much like mental trauma going on in the world. They finally shut down schools in York Region. Peel was first, then Toronto, and now York Region has done it. I don't think the kids are going back to school this year, because if it's end of April, they're not going to put the kids, like keep them home for 2-3 weeks and bring them back mid-May, and they finish in June. So I don't see that happening. I think the school year's a wash, like last year's was.
You never know.
They put them back for the last 2 weeks. Yeah. They probably do that. Like, it's like,
But you never know, like you said.
It's mentally taxing. My kids.
Especially on the kids.
Yeah.
I thought about it. I was like, yo, our parents never went through something this.
No, and it's like just SARS, have your kids.
But I'm talking about COVID is literally the whole entire
the whole time. Yeah, everything is shut down.
Even with SARS, I was young, but I remember it, and I remember it had a toll on the world, but it was short. It was nothing where it wasn't shook the whole culture of the world, like masked up everywhere. I don't even remember wearing masks when SARS was out.
No, I think no.
Like, I can't personally remember.
I remember, like, because my dad was sick, so we'd have to go down to the hospitals in Toronto. And that time, it was just, like, wearing the mask in the hospital.
I've seen people wearing masks.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
Not like this.
Yeah. I don't know.
And that's 2 lifetimes.
What do you mean?
Like, our lives, our parents' lives, like, they didn't, no one's going through this. Like, the last time maybe something this crazy in terms of, like, a mass infection. What, the Spanish flu?
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
I mean, that's a whole nother level. I mean,
that was that was eradicating people, but I mean,
but then there's always this back and forth in terms of numbers and mortality rate. But then the day, like you said, the kids, like, they just want to have a normal life, so if they're getting through what we have to.
Like, my kids are lucky enough to have there's 3 of them, so they can like do their own thing. But imagine the kids at home who don't see anybody, and the children. Like, my youngest is 20 months, and she's around other kids, like her siblings, and we have other family and stuff. But what about the children who at this point in time are only children and things like that? So their development is slowed as well, right? It's just taking a toll on everybody. And while the world is fighting the pandemic from COVID, we are fighting the pandemic of racism as well. So
did you know that the CDC listed
I seen it today.
Yeah, they listed racism as a health threat.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why is that? I beg you guys to do deeper thinking and understand why that's so. It's taken a long time, because we've been felt this, especially with COVID. When it first came out, we were even at protests. That's something we were talking about. I'm glad they finally declared it, but this is something that we've been dealing with, and it's not recent. Social media has made it ever more apparent, but it's not recent. So, yeah, I don't know, guys. Until the next episode, stay safe. Check in on your Black friends. Black people, take time to yourself. If you need to take a day off to process what's going on, do so, please. You need to take care of yourself. You need to care about yourself as well. Number one. So, thanks for listening to our TED Talk.
I mean, we would have talked for hours.
Yeah, we have a lot to say. We're trying to keep it short.
We have a lot to say,
yeah.
Especially in terms of, like you're saying, checking in. There's so much that goes into it.
Yeah.
And we can talk about that for hours,
but also check out his series on Instagram. He has another 7 weeks. He did it?
Yeah, Safe Space Saturdays.
Safe Space Saturdays. Can you guys say that fast? Safe Space Saturdays. Safe Space. Okay. But yeah, please make sure you guys check it out. This is about 7 more weeks. It's 8 weeks, right?
Yeah. 7 more weeks.
He's gonna have guests. He's gonna talk about Black men's mental health, which is super important and talked about and everything. So make sure you guys check that out. I will put his Instagram on the. And yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Of course, no. And then as well, just Black men have to also make sure you're taking care of, your sisters in your household, your mothers, your aunts, your cousins, your friends. Because I understand, even though I'm doing a lot of talking about men's mental health, I feel like men also have that responsibility to do more checking in terms of, being the leader of the house or being whatever figure of the household or relationship. It's like, just as being Black, we have an obligation to our Black people. Being a man, you have an obligation to your household and those around you, especially our Black queens, like you said, who hold us down every protest, hold us down every police brutality, killings, everything. There's always Black women on the front line. So that's why I say Black men have this obligation to check into Black women. So
for sure,
do that.
See you guys later.